in that moment when you realize that you don't have control over the outcome of the situation, you're basically put into this hopeless scenario. And you start to think. You think about your kids, you think about your life, you think about your choices. The only thought that I had was, I'm done. And at that moment, I gave up on life. I do believe in God. I have for a long, long time. Ever since I was a kid. And at that moment, I gave it all to God. I said, here I am with all my indiscretions, all my imperfections. And I'm begging and pleading with you, God, just to take care of my kids. Take care of my kids and let them grow up knowing that I love them. And that I'm sorry that I'm not here anymore. Giving up in that moment is probably one of the hardest things I've mentally had to get over in my life, knowing that I gave up, because I'm not a quitter. That's the one thing I'm not. If it needs to be done, I'll get it done. I'll figure out a way. I've been known for that. And in that one moment, I gave my life up. It almost is like I committed suicide, or almost like I told myself at that point that I didn't want to do this anymore. But you gotta realize at that moment, there's no hope. There's nobody coming. There's no fire trucks. Nothing. So I simply just put my head back and I closed my eyes. Next thing I know, there's James standing over me. Hey, wake up. Wake up. Don't go to sleep. And I wake up and I'm like, where the fuck were you at? Those were the first words I said. And he says, I went to go get help. There's a fire truck coming. And I hear the fire truck pulling up behind us. And I start going in and out of consciousness at this point. I remember them cutting me out of the truck. I remember them putting me on a gurney, taking me to LaPorte County Hospital in Indiana, where we were at. I remember my Uncle Jimmy coming in. I remember James being there, being treated, and all I kept asking about was James's fiance. None of the medical staff would tell me. Of course, at that point, they really don't want to. They want to make sure that you're stable. They don't want to add to your bad condition. They want to make sure that you're able to take the news that they give you. But my Uncle Jimmy was real with me. And the most fucked up part about it is this nurse comes in with a hose and she's like, we're going to have to give him a catheter now. And my Uncle Jimmy just slides out of there like a bitch. Just like, I'm going to be outside. I'll be right back. I don't know why I remember this. I think it's because it was painful. And she fucking lied to me, okay? If you're going to count to 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, 3, go. Not 1 and... And that's exactly what had happened. It just... all that shit fucking sucked. So then... one of the nurses had heard... or one of the medical staff had heard about the accident that I had. So... they ended up giving me an MRI and a CAT scan. During those, they found that I had what's called a descending thoracic aortic tear. Your heart sits in your chest, and there's different valves that come off of it. The main one on the top will come in, and it comes behind your back and goes back down. That tore, and that tore because of how fast we were going and the sudden stop of us hitting the tree, and it tore that aorta, and I started bleeding on the inside. It's the same exact thing that John Ritter died from, that nobody knew was happening, and he just died instantly. So at this point, they realize what's going on. They decide to put me into an ambulance and send me to South Bend Hospital, which I don't know exactly how long of a trip it is normally from South Bend to LaPorte. What's the travel distance from LaPorte, Indiana to South Bend, Indiana?
Ride from LaPorte to South Bend is 35.5 miles.
35.5 miles, which is normally about 39 minutes worth of a drive, so it's not that bad. But mind you, this is in the dead of winter. This is in one of the worst snowstorms that we've had in a long, long time. It took us an hour and 45 minutes to get that 39-minute trip from LaPorte to South Bend, Indiana. The reason why I went to South Bend, Indiana was because they needed to send me to a heart surgeon in order to repair my aortic tear. Now, unbeknownst to me at this point, my parents have been called. They're making the trip from South Haven to South Bend. And I don't even know how long it takes for that. What's the travel distance from South Haven, Michigan to South Bend, Indiana?
The drive from South Haven to South Bend is 61.9 miles.
61.9 miles, which is an hour and 3 minutes. And they started driving towards LaPorte, which is basically, this is Michigan, by the way. If you're from Michigan, you know what this poses. This is me telling you. I'm about to show you where the fuck I'm pointing to in the state of Michigan. But basically, South Haven's like right here, okay? It's about right here. And then you come down, and then there's the lake, and then there's Chicago, and Indiana's down here and everything. So they're coming basically around the lake and down this way. Then they realize they get down to like Benton Harbor, and they get the call. Benton Harbor's like almost down towards the border. And they get the call that I'm going in for heart surgery, South Bend, Indiana. Total, it took them about 2.5 hours. So they got called the minute that I got to LaPorte. It took them however long in order to get down to Benton Harbor because of the weather. And then they jettisoned over to South Bend. They made it just as I rolled in the ambulance. And basically I go in. They knock me out. And 5.5 hours later, I come out. And my parents tell me that I looked absolutely horrible. I was bloated. They had given me some Pepsin, I think is what it's called. But it's basically, it's for stomach acids, like during surgery, so your stomach acid doesn't like bubble up and stuff like that. And I guess I had an allergic reaction to it, and my mom said that I just did not look like me. I looked so bad because of the allergic reaction. That's the first thing that they told my parents. I have a huge scar on this side that goes from like the middle of my back all the way up into my armpit. They had to crack 2 ribs in order to get to the tear. But I was stable. I still had my arm and my foot and my hip to worry about. Those were all broken. Basically, my hip socket was blown out. The head of my femur. It's like you've got an acetabulum on your hip, which basically it positions the head of the femur. It's like if this is your leg bone, this is the head of the femur that pivots around when you move. This had actually gone through that part of the hip and blew it out. I mean, they said it was in like 24 pieces, and some of those pieces had actually severed part of my sciatic nerve. Then you have the 2 ribs that they just broke. You have my arm, which was broken. I had a Lisfranc fracture of my foot, which is absolutely gnarly that they even have a term for this fracture, but pretend that this is my foot. Between the big toe and the next toe over. Yeah, there we go. Between the big toe and the next toe over and all these other toes, there was a fracture, a hairline fracture that happened. And it actually took my foot and it folded it. So my foot was actually like this at the time. It actually was like, it didn't look good. 5.5 hours for my heart surgery to fix the tear. 13.5 hours 2 days later in orthopedic surgery to fix all my injuries. I got there. It was just, I missed Christmas. I basically spent all that time. Heart surgery, 2 days recover, go to Kalamazoo, bone surgery, a week recover, and then they sent me to the respite unit. So within 10 days of my accident, it was 10 days, yeah, it was 10 days. I get over the respite unit and there's a Shriner there. There's a dude that's literally a Shriner wearing a halo. There's another girl from Kalamazoo that had the same hip injury and nerve damage that I did but she was a driver and got hit by a drunk driver. Tons of interesting people. I was a complete ass at the time. I was not happy with my situation. I got pissed off about the breakfast one day because it was just like these powdered eggs. Like I fucking hate powdered eggs. I think I was there about a month after this. I literally taken this shitty egg breakfast bullshit for a fucking month, and I was done with it. We were gonna deal with this shit. I'm in a gown, in a wheelchair, grabbing a railing, going all the way down to the kitchen. Kid you not, I was storming in there like I was storming the beaches of Normandy. Shit was gonna get changed one way or another. And I wheelchair in there, I'm like, hey, can I talk to somebody about my food? And this lady was like doing something with a thing. She goes, yeah, how can I help you? I said, I really appreciate you guys putting up with me and everything, but can I get some fucking Lucky Charms? Or some cereal other than this little box shit? I'm sick of the powdered eggs in the mornings. It's the one meal that I do eat because I don't like any of the other food really. I want a good breakfast to start my day off. That's what I want. And I want some Lucky Charms. Oh, well, we'll help you out. So one of the nurses is like, yeah, let's take you back over to your room. I don't really think anything was going to come of it. So we go back down to the room. She talks to me on what's going on. I told her. She's like, all right, well, we need to send you to therapy for it's like an hour and a half or whatever. Go down to therapy. I literally go to lunch, come back, and sitting in my room is a box of Lucky Charms. A box of Lucky Charms and a stack of disposable balls. They hooked it up. They hooked your boy up. Once I could get mobile, I was not in my room. I wasn't. They kept pushing me back into my room, and I'd go grab a coat and a blanket, and I'd go outside. One time, I'm trying to read this book, and I wanted some peace and quiet. There was just so much going on. It's a medical place. You got lights and bells and whistles and all this other shit that goes on. I took my happy ass with a coat, a blanket on, headphones, listening to music, got my book, and I go out one of the exit doors to go outside, like where the employees go out to have a smoke break. And it's kind of in a way off place in the facility. And I'm sitting there listening to my music, just having a grand old time. And the next thing I know, this dude is pointing to me from across the way. He's looking at me and he's pointing at me. And I'm just like, hi. And all of a sudden another guy comes over and he's like, yeah. Sitting there like this with their little mic. The alarm starts going off. And this nurse comes running out. She goes, oh, thank goodness we found you. I'm like, found me? What do you mean found me? I've been here the whole time. Oh, we didn't know where you were at. We thought you had gotten loose. Gotten loose? Am I a fucking animal? What do you mean gotten loose? Oh, no. I mean, we just couldn't find you. We didn't know where you were at. You need to let us know where you're going. Okay, but answer me a question. Yeah? Where am I gonna go? I'm in a wheelchair in the middle of the country with a blanket and a coat on, and I'm still wearing, at this point I'm wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. Where am I going? Am I hitchhiking? Do I got a tow strap for my wheelchair? How the hell am I gonna be taking off from this place? And this male nurse that was there, he was basically like the senior resident nurse. Saw what was going on. And he walks in there one day and says, I need you to read this. And he has this book opened up. And he highlighted this section. And he goes, whenever life gets you down, whenever things don't go your way, I want you to, in your head, go back to this paragraph and read it verbatim. I want you to memorize it. And this was some, like, high medical journal about statistics on injuries and stuff like that. And it said that aortic tear that had happened that I had, 99.9% of the time, it's not found in time. Let me put that into perspective. 99.9% of the time, the injury that I have is not found in enough time to save that person's life. What kind of statistic is that for me, right? 1 in a million? It blew my mind to know that's how lucky I am to be here right now. And then he says, I want you to read the next paragraph, or read the next line. And it says, in cases that are found in a timely fashion, during surgery, 99.01% of the time, those people die on the operating table because they can't fix it quick enough. So not only am I 1 in a million for surviving the injuries that I had, now I'm like 1 in a billion or 1 in a zillion. Like it's astronomical at that point. It humbled me to know that there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm alive. And I wholeheartedly believe to this day it's because my kids needed me. I hope you guys enjoy these stories. That's just kind of an insight into who I am. Want to give you guys a different perspective from my frayed past and present as to who exactly I am, so you guys can kind of get to know me a little bit better. But until next time, guys, later, haters.